Okay, we're into Fückscast number 5. It's the 5 of 5 that I was planning to do this Christmas 2023. And then maybe I'll do a 6 as kind of a retrospective and take a decision whether I'm going to keep doing this stuff. Today, though, what I want to do is I want to do something a little bit special. So back in November this year, I got to do a kind of a comedy product management talk. I work in product management in software in my day job. And I got to do a talk to Google's EMEA Product Management Conference, their annual conference, in front of 350, I'm laughing about it still, Google product managers. And and they had me as the keynote speaker, which is insane. I still can't really believe it myself. A lot of people have actually said to me, like, dude, how the fuck did you get this talk? Like, what is it about you that you got to do this talk? Now, those are people in the comedy circle, and you know, they're used to seeing me in a certain context as this crazy dude that gets on stage and tells, you know, jokes usually of a stupid or sexual nature. And so they weren't able to comprehend the fact that there is more to me. But I'm 50. I mean, Jesus, the amount of things that I've done in my life. You know, there's many personalities wrapped up in here. And this one is, you know, this one that I gave to this Google Product Management talk is a side to me that maybe the people on the comedy circuit don't really know so well. And it's actually, ironically, so I get up on stage just to describe the situation. I'm in Google Zürich office. They don't, unfortunately, they have a video of this somewhere. I don't have access to that. I think NDA-wise, I'm good to give the talk here. It is my content. But I'm not going to reveal anything too specific about what went on there. But I gave the talk, and then I had like another 20 minutes of Q&A afterwards. And ironically, it was one of the best crowds I've ever had. Like, I got multiple applause breaks. I think it was partly because, you know, when you do this comedy in bars in Zurich, you have to have like very generic comedy, which is why, you know, I had a little bit of an argument with a lady at a show right before Christmas where she was complaining like, all you guys do is you tell jokes about sex the whole time. But the thing is, when you think about it, like the nature of the audiences we have Swiss people, we have a lot of foreign workers, expats, visitors, tourists, and to try and find something that commonly unites something, you know, you can either refer to the most obvious forms of US politics and entertainment, you know, Donald Trump, etc. Even there, like the things people are watching on Netflix is not standard and uniform. So it tends to be that we end up talking about sex the whole time because it's the one thing that all human beings can relate to. Anyway, so I'm doing this Google product management talk, and I got a smart crowd. I relate to what they do because I've worked in software my whole life. I've been a product manager the last 10 years. And it went really well. And just to prove to you, I do have a little bit of audio recording. Sadly, the first half of the audio recording is a bit messed up. But here's a little audio clip of what went on. So let's just play this here. So the proof.
So, like, you know, we've got Mark Zuckerberg, who's figured out how to project himself as an avatar through the internet. And look, weirdly, the avatar version of Mark is more human than Mark himself.
So there you go. You can hear the crowd is very responsive. We're going to get into that in a little bit. And basically what I'm going to try and do today is just reproduce the content of this talk. It's obviously not going to be the same as actually doing it in front of 350 Google product managers. I'm not in the same headspace that I was in exactly when I first did this talk. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. But so I'm just going to get into it, I guess. So, you know, like the way I began, I get up on stage, they introduce me, And then I say, like I got this because, I'm a product manager and I do stand-up comedy. So it's kind of a unique profile. So I get up on stage and I said, usually, I do a joke about my name, but you've already seen my name. I can't do those kind of jokes here today because that would be inappropriate. So I did a joke about being half German, half English, which means usually when I tell people that means I want to take over the world. But I'm too polite to do it. But one time I was doing that joke in India and they were like, yes, Germans, very polite people. And that actually got a good laugh, slightly awkward. I'm like, all right, we found the level in this room. You guys are prepared for a little bit of evil. But then I was like, okay, but look, I'm not here to do stand-up comedy. I'm here to talk about product management. So let's get into it because I want to get you guys today to open your Karmic PM chakra. Now, for you, those of you not in product management and software, PM means product manager. The role of a product manager is basically to be like the goat herder of software development. So you got all your engineers, you coordinate what they're doing, and then you deal with upper management and customers and all kinds of other stakeholders. And that's what you do as a PM. So the title of the talk was AI Nirvana, Opening Your Karmic PM Chakra. And then I went on to, the goal of this talk is I want to get you guys to be like this, like in the state of Zen harmony, just connected to everything, feeling relaxed, feeling transcendent. But first of all, let's begin with a blank slide. Empty your slide like this blank space that you see that I put no effort into. Because for this journey to begin, I need to take you back to the year 1984. I'm fucking this up already. And now 1984 has a bad reputation thanks to this book by George Orwell. But for me, the year 1984 was the year that at the age of about 10, I got one of these, a ZX Spectrum. And that sound, I just got to listen to it. That is the sound of joy for me as a kid, because this was one of the first home computers, and that sound was the sound of a game loading onto my ZX Spectrum. And that's where my journey as a nerd truly began. From the moment I had this thing, I stopped going out, I stopped talking to friends, I was on this computer the whole time. Fast forward to the year 1996. Now, at this point, I'm now working in software. It's also the year that Google launched their very first beta web search, and they blew the world away with actually showing us how web search should work. We had all this Ask Jeeves and Alta Vista at the time, but the Google beta was fantastic. It actually a search engine that worked. And me, like many other nerds at this time, we're like, wow, we're working towards like this utopia now. The internet is here. It's going to democratize and bring freedom and freedom of speech, and the world's going to be changed forever. And we're all passionate and thinking like this is a fundamentally beautiful time in human history where we bring this wonderful space to everybody. But then fast forward to the year 2004, which was the year that the Facebook was launched. And that is where everything started to go wrong, because that's when we discovered as nerds that when you add everyone in the world to technology, what you get is this. Suddenly you discover that everybody is just this introspective narcissist posting pictures of themselves and just permanently obsessed with their own ego and mentality. And we'd realized that this tech beautiful thing that we created had turned into a nightmare that was going to ruin the human species. Fast forward again to 2013. At this point, I switched from being a product manager, from being a software developer to a product manager. And as a product manager, I look like this. This is not the face of a happy man. I'm starting to hate technology, and I'm starting to hate the whole business of creating this technology. Some of the technology is even starting to really annoy me, such as this, which is Google Glass. And that got a good laugh from the crowd. I didn't actually name the product because this is one of the worst products ever created. It was a complete alpha thing that got launched and a lot of hype was created about it, and it really wasn't anything. Fast forward again to the year 2021. We're now in the lockdown. I'm just been working in product management for years, and I do what many old white men do at this point. I go on a podcast to vent my frustration.
We have this always assumption that we're the smartest people there ever were. Most of the design of things that is needed has been done. The number one driver is our boredom. Take something that works really well and you add a 10-second delay to it. Like, it used to be that you'd switch on a light and the light was on. But now with like e-lights, they take some time to boot up and connect to your internet. There's this door in the building that I work at, and it used to just be a door with a handle. What was it?
Explain this concept.
And then it became this card swipe system, and it takes like 20 seconds sometimes.
Oh yeah, it has to go to Belgrade to check the servers first.
And then I said, and you seem to have a lot of these doors at Google too, but which got a good laugh. And then I said, but this is me now as a product manager. And as a product manager, you're just overloaded, with swamped with tasks and priorities and things you got to do. And, you know, because being a product manager is one of the hardest things in the world, you know, because you basically supposed to be like a mini CEO. You're responsible for the future direction of the company. But unlike the true CEO of the company, you have no power to get anything done. The only thing you have is being nice to people. And I mean, that's gross. Who wants to be nice to people? But then this quote comes to mind: turn your setbacks into comebacks. Always stay shining, which is a quote by Cardi B. Fast forward again to 2023 and ChatGPT is launched. And I am fascinated. I get on ChatGPT and pretty soon it's a love affair. I'm using ChatGPT for everything. I'm using it at work. I'm using it for dealing with my kids. I even get my son some career advice thanks to ChatGPT. We go through all this. You know, and pretty soon I'm using it for everything at work. It's just making everything insanely easy. I'm loving this. It's just, and it even helps me solve the hardest problem in the world, communicating with my own mother. And this is me now after ChatGPT as a product manager. I'm now relaxed. I'm a happy product manager because basically I'm not doing any work anymore. Everything has become incredibly easy. But then I noticed that unfortunately I'm not getting, like, what I'm getting from ChatGPT is not the same experience as everyone else. So, you know, you basically, people I notice fall into three camps. You have the naysayers who are like, ChatGPT is the worst. It's going to bring about the end of humanity. This is like they watch too many Terminator movies, basically. Then you got the neutral crowd who's like, yeah, I tried ChatGPT for an email or something. It was all right, but, you know, the text was fairly generic. But then you got me, the enthusiast. By the way, the text, the images here are generated by DALL-E, which is why the text is all messed up. But the enthusiasts, we're like loving it. We're using ChatGPT for everything. And I get to figure like, why am I getting such a different experience from ChatGPT? And I realize that the reason is because I've had years of experience as a software developer. I know how to iterate. And, you know, with iteration, you basically... you write some code, you run it, you find some bugs, and then you fix them and replay them. And that's how I approach ChatGPT. So whenever I never expect ChatGPT to give me the right answers, first of all. I just do this, you know, like the first thing it gives me, I give it some feedback, we iterate. What I discover is that being nice to ChatGPT is a great way to get better results. But even better than being nice is being abusive to ChatGPT. You abuse ChatGPT, it gives you the best results. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because it's been trained on all humanity. And then I switched to a live demo, which I'm not going to do for you today, but I did this thing, Mystic ChatGPT. Now, I'll just explain it. So I did it with a live demo from my phone. It's a lot of delay and it's going to be a technical nightmare to do it. But basically what I did is I trained ChatGPT to be a mentalist. Now, if you haven't heard if you don't know what a mentalist is, it used to be this type of performance on stage that was very popular, like in the 40s and 50s in the previous century, where basically someone would get on stage and go like, oh, I'm feeling there's somebody who recently lost somebody. And this kind of stuff is a mix between like being a psychic and just a mentalist as sort of a mind reader. And so what I did is I trained ChatGPT to be a mentalist, but for product management questions. And then I also said, we're here at Google Product Management Talk. And it said, I sense there are many people struggling to prioritize their backlogs. Please raise your hands. And then we got it down, it boiled it down to finally like, there's a person at the front who's having this specific problem. And it was a lot of fun to do that demo. And it also highlights that the knowledge that ChatGPT has available to it allows us to automate a lot of the tasks that we do as product managers. It's all like the knowledge is all out there. Anyway, that demo went pretty well. We had a few technical glitches even live on stage. But then after that, of course, the audience is a little bit shocked. And you got to bear in mind that if it scares you, it might be a good thing to try, which is another quote by Cardi B. But here's the fundamental problem, is that as product managers, most of the time our brains look like this. We're just bombarded with too much information. Like there's just messages coming in, things that are going on. It's just like your brain is being swamped all the time. And this is not a good condition for a brain to make smart choices and think about the future of a product and think in intelligent ways. But now, thanks to ChatGPT, my brain looks like that. Isn't that a harmonious, happy-looking brain? Because I'm not doing all this busy work anymore. I've automated all that. Instead, like now my brain is able to make clear, conscious decisions about where things are going in future. And this is just the beginning. Because let's take a look. This is a screenshot of my calendar throughout the year, and the red spots illustrate the points where I have too many stupid meetings. And you can see there's a lot of red on this calendar. It's like the amount of meetings that you have as a product manager is just insane, and in most corporate jobs, in fact. Now, meanwhile, Mark Zuckerberg has figured out how to project himself as an avatar over the internet, and ironically, oh wait, this is not automating. There we go. Yeah, you see, ironically, the AI version of Mark on the left there looks more human than the real version, which was the joke I played earlier on. That got a good laugh. But this is what I want, AI me. I want AI me, an AI version of myself that I can send to attend stupid meetings. It's trained on me. It looks like me. And basically, because let's face it, most meetings, it's just like, oh, what did you do last weekend? Oh, I did something boring. Oh, me too. And on a 30-minute meeting, you waste 20 minutes on stupid chat, leaving about 2 minutes at the end to make any serious decisions. AI can handle this for me. And in fact, why do I need to limit myself to attending one AI meeting at a time? I could be attending thousands of meetings all at once and just collecting all this data through my AI personas. Meanwhile, while other AI versions of me are living their best lives and getting pictures like this that they're posting on Instagram to annoy my friends. But let's just have a blank slide for a second, because now we're going to have a little bit of theory. Just be calm and peaceful for a second. Let's go back 15,000 years in the history of mankind now. 2023 minus 15,000. And we go back to ancient India. And in ancient India, they'd invented this concept called the koshas. And the koshas are basically these 7 layers of states that you can be in as a human being. Jesus. Okay, there we go. these 7 layers of states you can be as a human being. And it goes from like a level of basic needs here at the bottom, where you're struggling to find food and shelter. Once you solve those problems, you become more of a pleasure seeker. You're like eating too much, maybe having too many sexual experiences. Then up here you get into a more mental and emotional layer. That's probably where you got therapy for all the shit that you did at the layer below. Then you move up to the more intellectual creative. So once you've solved your issues, you start being more of a transcendent thinker. You're being creative, maybe a designer, a programmer are at this layer. Once you move on from there, you reach a level of intuitive wisdom. All of this data and experience that you've now collected becomes something that's blended with your intuition, that allows you to just explain things or do things in a way correctly from the beginning. Once you've gone through that level, you move up to the level of shanti or peace, where you're just kind of calm with everything. Nothing can touch you anymore. You're just calm. But above that is the level of ananda, which is joy or bliss. It means you're permanently blissed out. No matter what's happening, no matter how horrible it is for other people, you're just in a state of joy or bliss. Now, interestingly, this is the Eastern perspective, you could say. Meanwhile, in the West, on the 1st of August 2023, on the Lex Friedman podcast, we had this guy, Joshua Bach, Joska Bach. And Joska Bach proposed these 7 layers of lucidity. And he talks about basically these are the stages. He's an AI researcher with a background in psychology and a bunch of other disciplines. And he talks about this idea of lucidity, where you begin with the infant mind, and then you become like a young child, you move up into adolescence, and then you become a self-directed adult into becoming a full adult, until you become an enlightened mind and then a transcendent mind. Now, what's interesting about this is that there are 7 layers here. And so this must mean something. That's a weird coincidence. From 15,000 years ago to this level of lucidity that we're discovering through an AI researcher who's got a background in psychology. And as product managers, most of the time, we're stuck around here between the intellectual, creative, and intuitive wisdom. Which is okay, but it means that you're never really moving up to a higher level. But thanks to AI, we can move above the level of intuitive wisdom to being almost at peace. And that is a great place to be as a thing. And that is how we reach a level of AI nirvana, where we're at peace with everything. And, and then we can get back to working on the better version of ourselves, which is like this wonderful internet utopia that we wanted in the first place. And we can use it to help mankind because we've now freed ourselves from our own insanity. And finally, just remember that it's not lying, it's strategic truth-telling, which is a quote by Cardi GPT. And that is basically the talk I give. It's not the best version I've done of it. But, once also with the live demo using ChatGPT, that kind of blew people's minds. They then asked me questions like, why aren't you using Bard? And I'm like, well, like Bard, Google Bard, really? I need like some medieval minstrel as my AI companion. But they had some great questions, and it was truly a great crowd. And so, that was basically what I did for these guys. I don't know what else I got to say. I mean, the interesting thing for me, I guess, is just like as a comedian, I was able to give a talk with no swearing, first of all. I kept it off the fuck and shit words. And, but also like relatable to the audience. So, maybe this is a door opening into a career in corporate comedy. I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. I feel kind of like this could have been a lot better. If I shared the audio recording with you, maybe, I don't know, whatever. Who cares? All right. That's it for Fückscast number 5.